Chapter 2. If emotional stability were a person, I would have blocked it years ago. Instead, I did the next best thing. I opened my group chat. It was called Soft Chaos Society, a carefully curated collection of women who had seen me at my best, my worst, and one unforgettable incident involving glitter glue and emotional distress. I typed, "Me. I have accepted a job that may or may not destroy me professionally, spiritually, and romantically." 3 typing bubbles appeared instantly. Then, Lena. Define romantically. Oh no, that's always code for a man. Is it a hot man or stupid man? Be specific. I stared at the screen. Me both. The responses arrived like fireworks. That's illegal. Name him. We will judge him. I'm emotionally preparing a plan. I didn't reply, because I couldn't. Because if I said his name, he became real again, and I was not ready to give him that permission. So I just typed, "Me, I need a distraction." Then I left the chat open like an emotional safety blanket and went to make tea I would forget to drink. My phone buzzed again. At first, I ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again. Like whoever it was had zero respect for my boundaries. Finally, I opened it. Unknown. You do realize that having a public group chat on Twitter is illegal, right? I blinked, then frowned, then immediately typed back. Me. Excuse me? The response was instant. Unknown. That wasn't an insult. It was an observation. I should have stopped there. I did not. Me. And what makes you qualified to observe me? A pause. Unknown. You didn't delete your message after posting it. That's usually one step of emotional instability. I stared at the screen, offended, intrigued, personally attacked in a way that felt oddly accurate. Wow. And here I thought I was talking to a normal person. Unknown. I am normal. Unfortunately, I snorted. That was my second mistake. Me. So what are you then? A stranger who reads group chats he shouldn't be able to see. That sounds illegal. Only mildly. Comforting. A beat. Then, you're planning something big. And you know this how? People who are calm don't message like they're holding a match near gasoline. I leaned back slowly. This stranger was either dangerous or annoyingly perceptive, or both. Maybe I like gasoline. Then you're either a firefighter or a bad decision. I'm a wedding planner, so technically both. There was a pause, longer this time. The unknown, that explains the chaos energy. I smiled despite myself. And what do you do, mystery analyst? I basically design fancy places for people's comfort. That sounds exhausting. It is. But it's part of the job, with me being an architect and all. I narrowed my eyes at my phone like it had personally insulted my ancestors. And then I laughed. Out loud. The conversation didn't feel like texting. It felt like standing too close to someone in a crowded room and realizing you can't step away without noticing the absence. It kept going. Faster, sharper, stranger. Me, you're very confident for someone hiding behind unknown. I prefer strategically invisible. That's not a thing. It is if you say it with conviction. That one made me pause, just slightly. Then I shook it off. Because I don't do emotional spirals with strangers. I do them privately, like a responsible adult. At some point, the conversation stopped feeling like interrogation and started feeling like rhythm. Like we had accidentally found a shared language neither of us admitted we understood. Then it happened. Unknown. You always this intense? Or is today special? Me. I'm not intense. I'm efficient. Unknown. That's what intense people say. I stared at the screen, then changed his contact name. Coffee boy. No reason. Just instinct. I didn't even think about it. I sent back. Me. You're very annoying for someone I didn't ask for. And yet you're still replying. Touche. I added him to favorites. That was also not intentional. Probably. We talked for what felt like minutes, which turned into an hour. Which turned into me sitting on my kitchen counter with cold tea and very few emotional defenses left. He didn't ask personal questions in a pushy way. He didn't flirt in a cheap way either. It was worse. It was effortless. Like he knew exactly when to push and when to vanish slightly into silence. At one point I typed, "Me. Do you ever say anything normal?" Coffee boy. I could, but you'd lose interest. I hated how right that sounded. And I hated even more that I didn't disagree. I should have stopped. That was the rational conclusion. Instead, I typed, "Me, fine. Anonymous rules, we don't ask names." Agreed. But I get to assume things about you. That sounds dangerous. It's accurate. I rolled my eyes. smiling again, against my will. Then he renamed me. A notification popped up. Planner girl, I froze, then whispered, "Okay, that's kind of annoying." We made an agreement without saying it out loud. No real names, no searching, no asking. Just this. Two strangers orbiting each other through screens, talking like they had known each other in a different life. A life I was absolutely not going to think about, because I had a wedding to survive, and an ex named Declan Hayes to professionally ignore, and apparently a mysterious man who made chaos feel like a conversation. I closed my phone eventually, not because I wanted to stop talking, but because I needed to remember how to breathe normally again. As I stared at the ceiling, one thought settled quietly in the back of my mind. This should not feel easy. And yet it did, which was exactly how disasters usually start.